Good morning, sailors. It's Tuesday, January 19th. I hope you enjoyed your long weekend. And we're getting back at it today with Lesson 5. So on Friday, Mr. Whalen went through Lesson 5, combining like terms with you. I actually did the foldable with you, and then he went through the book and did a couple of examples with you. So we are going to actually start what was on the agenda for the last part of Friday for math, which some crews did not get to. And possibly some virtual students as well. And it's the practice independent problems. And so if you look at the agenda right now at number 1, on page 391 and 393, there's some review of what you learned on Friday. I'm actually going to start you on the page 391. So if you could get right now your book, make sure you are open to page 391 and grab your pencil. And if you would also like to use colors like colored pencils, highlighters, get those out as well. If not, if you'd prefer to just use your pencil or possibly pen to identify those terms that we're going to combine that are like, that's fine as well. So Mr. Whalen and I showed you a few different ways on Friday on how to do that. Get those supplies ready right now, and I'll meet you back on page 391. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look on 391, number 1 to start with. So actually the first 3 that are here are going to ask you to identify the terms, like terms, coefficients, and constants in each expression. So I'm going to do number 1 with you. And here what you're doing is you're listing those items. So for example, when you identify the terms, you're going to see me write a T for terms, just like Mr. Whalen did. You're going to see me use LT for like terms. Coefficients, I'll just put COEF. And then constants, CON. So being able to identify each of those pieces here in an expression. So the terms, remember, you just count each one. And on Friday, you learned that you could take and draw lines that would separate each term like this. So you have 1, 2, 3 terms. 2 is a term, so I'm going to list it. Positive 3a is a term, or plus 3a. And positive 9a, or plus 9a, is a term. So I'm just listing 3 terms total. The like terms, so remember these had to be the ones that had the same thing in common. So for example, when you look at that expression, you see there are 2 terms with a's next to them. So I'm going to list them. 3a and 9a are considered like terms. And that's all I'm going to list. 2 is in that expression. It's a constant. I'm going to put that right there, constant. But there's nothing else in that expression that's a constant that you can consider to group with that to make it a like term. So the only set of like terms are 3a and 9a. Coefficients. So remember, these are the numbers in front of the variable. So in front of the a, we have 3, and we also have 9. Numbers in front of the variables, coefficients. So in a minute here when we're done, you're going to do number 2 and you're going to do number 3. Set it up the same way that I just did in number 1. Then let's look down here at 4 through 6. This says write each expression in simplest form. So this is where you're combining like terms. I'm going to do the toughest one here with you. I'm going to do number 6. And so first step that we talked about with combining like terms on Friday was, again, drawing those lines that separate each term like this. And every time I draw those lines, I've got the subtraction sign in the number or the adding sign in the number. You're separating those into separate terms. In this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Now, we're writing each expression in simplest form, which means now when we think about the next step, we're going to group together what's similar. So I'm going to change my colors here. And I'm going to look in that expression and I see J's. So I know that this negative 4J and this negative 4J are considered like terms. And so I had showed in the foldable, if you want to, you can take and group them like this in a box. Now I used highlighters on the foldable, which I don't really have here. I'm just using different colors. And I said in the video that you could use whatever method works best for you. Okay, the next set of like terms. So I'm going to change my color here. I'm going to use blue. And so I see here in the expression -1 and +6. So I'm going to group those together. -1, +6, just like that. So I've grouped all my like terms, and now I need to simplify each grouping. So I'm going to come back to the pink here, and my j's, -4j and -4j. If I combine those two together, I get -8j. So your integer rules tell you that when you have two that have the same sign like this, you add those together and keep that sign. In this case, they're both negative. You add the negatives, you keep the negative, -8j. Okay, plus. Okay, now combine the next grouping. So the next grouping, -1 plus 6. Okay, that would give you 5. So final answer, because I know I wrote this in two different colors, so I'll write the final answer right here. -8j plus 5. Combined like terms to simplify that expression the best that you can. That's it. Okay, so let me come back to the agenda. You're now going to finish, okay? So on page 391 that we were just on, you're going to do 1 through 6. You're going to finish the ones I didn't do, and then you're going to check your answers on this link. Afterwards, you're going to go to page 393. Okay, so you're going to come down to the extra practice, and in 393, you'll again practice that again. You're going to do 20 through 24. So here, 20 through 24, try them, work them out, and then also again, check your answers. As soon as you're done, then you can do a few more things. Number 2 says, finish review of combined like terms. And so the first thing is BuzzMath. We've added 2 new ones here to help you with simplifying algebraic expressions. And so if I bring BuzzMath up, so far, that would give you then 5 BuzzMath lessons for Chapter 5. The 2 new ones, simplifying algebraic expressions, introducing unlike terms, and simplifying algebraic expressions like terms. These are the 2 new ones. Those are the 2 that you can go to next and work on. As a reminder, I'm just going to come over here to the side. BuzzMath is due test day, which is going to be Friday, January 29th. So you still have some time, but again, you should work on these. Then, if you still have time, quizzes in Google Classroom. So if I go to Google Classroom, there's a Chapter 5 resources here. And under this Chapter 5 resources, there's a few things here for you. The quizzes that I'm referring to. And in quizzes, there's a few different things here that we've covered in Chapter 5 that you can review. Since we are doing Lesson 5 on combining like terms or simplifying algebraic expressions, I would do these first 2 here. Not sure why the pictures aren't coming up on the links, but I tested the links out. They're just fine. You're going to come here and work on these. And then if you still have time, you could come down and here's distributive property and then also evaluating algebraic expressions. Also in this Chapter 5 resources, as we get closer to the test, which will be next Friday, you're going to see there's vocabulary Quizlet in here for you to practice your vocabulary that we've learned. And there's also an integer flashcards Quizlet that Mr. Whalen also introduced to you last week to practice your integers. So these resources are here for you to get you prepared for the test. Okay, so the hour is now yours. Please make sure you finish those practice and independent problems, and then you head into some BuzzMath and quizzes today. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and we'll see you later this week.